What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the economic calendar moving forward, talk about big factors involving the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses heading into tomorrow. But just notes that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. Not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. This offer ends in a couple of weeks. Check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market. I just wanted to mention that right now, charts are looking quite bullish heading into tomorrow when you look at SPY, ES, futures, and many other tickers like that. And that's what's happening temporarily for now. Now, I just want to note that even though the market is looking that way, historically during election years, the S&P 500 does have a tendency of being down for September and October before trying to make a nice rebound for November and December, at least historically. Now, thus far, the trend has been very, very consistent the way we've been moving, especially as the market has been once again trying to pump. Even for August, as we start off with the dip, we did get a nice V-shaped recovery. And we got a very, very strong close for August. But the question is, will there be a little bit of a pullback in September? That depends on lots of different factors. Now, as far as earnings goes, as a reminder, there's not really much coming out for tomorrow. Tomorrow being Tuesday, there's not much coming out. Very, very minor earnings. But then for Wednesday, we have Dick's Sporting Goods, not to mention for Thursday, we have Neo and a few others, then more retail by Friday. So very, very minor earnings for the week. And by the way, guys, today is Labor Day, so I'm wishing you guys a very, very happy Labor Day. The market is closed for now, which is why I'm not really waking up too early or doing anything else like that. So for now, the market will open back up tomorrow, and we'll see how things go from there. Tomorrow is also Tuesday, September 3rd. Don't forget that at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the main time for data. We have some very important manufacturing numbers coming out for the PMI report, employment, new orders, and prices. So look for some volatility at this time, especially when we start to see the manufacturing prices coming out. So it's going to be affecting inflationary data. And then at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions coming out. So watch for volatility then, and we'll see how things end up going. Later on for the week, we have very important jobs numbers coming out for Wednesday. Thursdays when we have very important services numbers, and then Fridays when we have the unemployment numbers. So big data comes out pretty much every single day. The data coming out for tomorrow will be most significant at 10 o'clock a.m. So get ready for that 30 minutes after the market ends up opening. And then on top of that, I just want to mention that right now, as far as sentiment goes for the markets, fear and greed is currently more towards greed. We're not extremely greedy, but we're not very, very neutral either. Kind of in the middle, but we're getting closer to that extreme level. That kind of signifies to me that the market's not at the extremes right now, and there could be more upside potential to get us closer to that. So that still opens the doors for new highs for the S&P 500. Now, momentum is currently at greed. We're not at extremes quite yet, and the reason for that is because once again, the market did dip a little bit only to get a nice V-shaped recovery. And if we do push even higher, I do think we could be entering the extremes soon. So there is still a lot of bullish momentum remaining, and it could push us even higher for now. The put and call ratio right now is kind of neutral. It's trying to go up a little bit as we're starting to see some shorts trying to pile in, but this might shift because a lot of these shorts could continue to get squeezed simultaneously. So with more hedging going on, this could still get dragged back down if the market does push higher. So I'll be watching to see what the reaction is. Volatility is also in the middle. The VIX is not looking too great. It actually looks a little bit more bearish to me, so that could be a bullish signal. So that being said, let's now focus on the charts and talk about how things are looking. First and foremost, SPY is looking more bullish in my personal opinion, with a very bullish looking close for the month of August. Entering September, we are still looking like we're on a good note. Now, I did show you guys that historically, okay, we do tend to be red in September and October, but there are instances where it doesn't really have to be perfect that way. That does not mean every single day has to be red in September. Even if we do have a bearish month, right, that does not mean that the first week has to be bearish, because an example is the month of July. In July, okay, we started off around this 540 area for SPY. Then we rallied all the way up to about 565 to new all-time highs before this thing made a move back down towards the end of July to close once again kind of flat, even very, very close to the red area. So it just goes to show a month is a long time. Just because the first week has more bullish potential, it does not mean the whole month has to remain that way. So don't kind of like extend the analysis that long. For now, the charts look more bullish and we are favoring upside. So we're just going to focus on that analysis for the time being. as of right now, if you look at the daily chart on SPY, it looks more bullish, and I do think we're going to be going for that 565 target for that all-time high. So I'll be watching these key levels just to be safe. If we do hypothetically lose 563.5, I'll be looking for basically the 562 area. If that fails us, we're going to be looking for 560 close to our 20 EMA, followed by 558. If we're bullish, you want to see us break past the resistance at 565. That's the all-time high area. If we break the all-time highs, we're going to be looking for 568 as our next targets, followed by 570. Now, what's looking more favorable to me is looking at how strong we closed on Friday and looking at how much bullish momentum typically remains. I wouldn't be surprised if we gap down a little bit and start to push a little higher. I think we might be testing 565. We will see if that breaks or not. Will we get a big rejection of 565 and come back down, or will we break through that? I think we will be pushing a little bit higher, and we may attempt to try to break 565. I think there's a good chance of us going all the way up there, if not breaking through it. So look for a little bit more upside for the time being. We'll see if the move lasts. But for the time being, I do anticipate some more upside in that test of the all-time high, and we'll see if SPY could break that or not. Part of why I say that is because of ES. ES has a very, very nice looking structure. Not only is there like a nice inverse head and shoulders, but if you start to zoom out, you'll see that the move is not fully made yet. So we have an inverse head and shoulders. And if we break this high here, we're going to be looking for this imbalance to fill, taking us up to the 5700s. This looks bullish to me. It looks like we have a nice accumulation that was developing right here. We have this nice looking channel we're trying to break through. So we're trying to break out of this resistance, which would take us all the way up to this imbalance, taking us up into the 5700s. So that looks more favorable to me. It looks like it wants to go up to the 5700 soon, and that's going to help the other broader markets push higher. So we're seeing a divergence forming where ES is not running the same way as SPY. ES is a little bit behind, but it may try to play a game of catch up and may try to push up, and that may drag SPY up even higher. So I do favor a little bit more upside for 5680 and eventually the 5700s. So watch to see if that ends up being the case. For SPX, we're looking more bullish right now. We're going to try to push higher. If we break this resistance, we're going to be looking for this imbalance to fill towards that 5680 area, if not higher, close to 5700. If we lose 5580, we'll be looking for a big dip all the way back down. I favor that this is looking more bullish, especially look at the daily close. And as long as we maintain structure, so we got some good volume that came out on Friday. As long as we can maintain this, there's a good chance that we try to go for that all-time high. Excuse me, the all-time high. So it's looking more bullish for SPX as well. So that being said, guys, make sure you watch your levels just to be safe, but just know that I am anticipating we're going to be pushing for all-time highs on SPY, go a little bit higher, closer to 565. If we break that or close above that, we are still favoring a push for 568 and 570. So we still look more bullish in my personal opinion. For Nvidia, Nvidia's looking decent right now, but we're at this very, very important support. We have 117 to 200 EMA as key support. If we lose that, we're dipping back down towards 115, if not lower. And if we hold this, we could be looking for a rebound for that 122 area. So watch this 117 area, the 200 EMAs are support. As long as we hold this, we're going to be looking for a rebound for that 122 zone. I am favoring a bounce on Nvidia for that 122 area, so we are favoring upside a little bit more. So we'll see how things end up developing from here, but I do favor upside a little bit more. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin looks more bullish on the 4-hour time frame. If we manage to hold above 58,500, we're going to be looking for the 59,500 area, and eventually the 60,500. If we end up losing support at 57,000, we're going to be looking for a dip back down towards support over here around 56,000 flats. In my personal opinion, it's looking like there's a bullish divergence right here. And we're trying to fight our 20 EMA. So it depends if you break this or not. If you can break 58,500, I favor it's going to try to break this and make its way up closer to 60,000. So there might be a little bounce on Bitcoin, especially after the big dump we saw. So I favor a little bit of a bounce for next week just to start us off. And then we'll see how things go from here. So we have a bullish divergence forming, maybe a little bit of a bounce that could be coming. I think we're going to be testing our 50 EMA and get close to 60,000. So look for a small bounce in Bitcoin. We'll see if it lasts. For Tesla, in my opinion, looks more bullish. It looks bullish because of, first off, we have this inverse head and shoulders. Secondly, this is like a nice looking 4-hour structure. And then another thing that's worth noting is that the daily on Tesla is looking pretty good right now. We have a bullish looking daily candlestick. And with all these confluences, they do favor the upside. So I think we're going to look for a little bit of a bounce. So just to be clear, if we were to lose hypothetically this 212 area, you're going to be looking for 208 as our next potential target. If we break 215, we're going to be looking for basically this imbalance to fill, taking us all the way up to the 220 area. So I think what's going to happen is this for Tesla. I think we could rebound after we get a retest of like 212 or so, kind of shuffle a bit. And I think that over the next few days, we're easily pushing up to this imbalance, taking us into the 220s, if not higher. If we break past 220, you're looking at the next resistance around 221.5. And if that breaks, we're going all the way up to about 225. So I think the 220s are coming most likely. We may dip first and continue higher, but watch the levels for confirmation. So long as we hold above 210, I favor a push up for that 220 area. So we look more bullish to me. I'm favoring the upside. For NQ, it's the same looking structure, nice inverse head and shoulders. It's actually holding up nicely, but we have this tough resistance close to about 19,700. If that breaks, we're going to be looking for about just under 20,000. If we lose 19,500, we're going to be dipping back down towards 19,440. I don't favor that. I'm favoring the inverse head and shoulders. I think we're going to be trying to push. Look for confirmation, though. We need to break past 19,700. It's a tough resistance. We'll see if that breaks. I have a feeling it's going to try to break that and try to push closer to 20,000. So I favor a bounce, but just to be safe, you want to watch for confirmation if we could break the resistance at 19,700. The QQQ looks bullish on the 4-hour time frame, looking at a 4-hour PPO crossover. We're also above our EMAs, trying to hold above our 20 EMA very nicely. The daily looks pretty good. If you look at the daily candlestick, it looks bullish, technically speaking. So this is favoring 477, if not 480, very, very soon, or even higher than that. So what I think is, just to be safe, okay, hypothetically, if we were to end up dipping, look at the support right here around 475. If we were to lose that, I'd be looking for 473. And then if that fails us, we're looking for basically 470. So I'll be watching those supports very closely. If we're bullish, we want to break 477. If that breaks, I think we get very close to 480 plus. So watch those levels. But I think what's most likely going to happen is this is an inverse head and shoulders. I think we look quite good on the daily. So there could be a little dip initially, then we may continue to push. I think we may be on our way for that 480 target, and we'll see if we reject or not off that. But I think we're going to be pushing higher. For Aapl, the chart is more bullish because we're making higher highs and higher lows. Here's your proof of that. If you look at the chart right here, we had a low like over here, made a higher high, higher low. Then we start to consolidate a bit before breaking the high. So it is more bullish looking to me. So I think what's going to happen to Aapl is with this inverse head and shoulders, we still have this gap to fill around 234. I think we will eventually get there with the accumulation. As long as we don't lose 226, I favor upside. We could dip a little bit tomorrow morning. Even if we do come down to 226 to fill the gap, there might be a small dip coming. But then I think we're going to try to bounce. So the first support's at 228 and then 226. And then our resistance is going to be around 230, not to mention 233, and then 234 to fill the gap. So it is possible we dip a little bit, depends if 228 holds. If that doesn't hold, I think we could come down to fill the gap. But then there should be a bounce coming. Whether it's off 228 or 226, one of those two levels, we should bounce and look for a rebound into the 230s, most likely on Aapl, just to start off the month of September on a strong note. That's what I favor, guys. A little bit of a dip, then a bounce. We'll see if it bounces off 228 or if it's off 226, one of those two levels, then that should be pushing us even higher. With that being said, let's focus on the rest of these. Palantir looks more bullish to me. Trying to break out over here. If we break past 32, we're going to be looking for essentially this imbalance fill for higher levels like 32.5. And if we lose 30.91, we could be dipping. I think this is favoring upside a little bit more. For Super Micro, we're looking more bullish. If we try to push higher, I'll be looking for a test of our 20 EMA, this 488 area. If we end up dipping, I'll be looking for 400 as key supports. I think the chart looks pretty good on Super Micro. It is due for a bounce, so I do anticipate a test of about 486.5, then eventually 500 again. I favor a little bit of a bounce, so watch for that very carefully. For Rivian, we're kind of consolidating within this range. I think that there's a good chance that we will continue to trade sideways. But it depends. I think we're just range bound right now. We have 13.6 is support and then 14.6 is resistance. To me, it just looks like we're going back and forth and back and forth. May push a little bit higher tomorrow for 14.4 to 14.6 and come back down. But I just see it consolidating for the time being. For SoFi, we look more bullish. We're bullish because of what the Fed announced, and also because we have a nice accumulation structure right over here. So I think that we have support at 7.5. Our resistance is going to be around this 8.25 area. If 8.25 breaks, we're going to be looking for a big push all the way up towards closer to $9. So I think this might try to rebound. As long as we don't lose 7.5, I favor upside. So it might try to push for 8.5 or higher. Looks more bullish to me. For the IWM, Russell 2000, we have a nice accumulation structure. We're trying to respect an uptrend right over here. If we were to lose 218, we're looking for 216, eventually lower levels like 212. And for bullish, you want to try to hold above 218 to push for 222, then eventually higher levels. So I think that this looks like a nice accumulation right over here. We're actually uptrending nicely on the IWM. And then if you look at this trend line that I have drawn out right here, we're holding the support nicely. So as long as we hold support, I favor that as long as we're above this white trend line, we're going up to at least 222 or higher. If we lose 218, we could turn back down. I'd be concerned if we lost 218, but I'm favoring that this is going to be trying to push for 222 plus, as it looks more bullish to me. For AMD, we look more bullish on the 4-hour time frame. We're going to be looking for a test of 151. If we were to lose 148, look for a dip, but this is favoring 151 plus. For ARM, we look decent. This is forming a little bit of a rejection right here, so we could dip a little bit lower for 130.6, and then we could try to bounce after that. So I do think it might dip a little bit first. We could be retesting the 130 area, then try to bounce and start pushing higher. So we'll be watching this very, very carefully just to see how things go. For Nvidia, I think I accidentally skipped over. Actually, I don't think I skipped over Nvidia. I just want to double check. So Nvidia is very important for that. If Nvidia does get that rebound, I think that ARM could follow it. But ARM may start off with a little bit of a dip before trying to get that rebound, by the way. So it might dip first and try to rebound with Nvidia. I'll be watching for that very carefully. For others out there, such as Coinbase, there should be a balance coming, but that depends on where we end up basing. So we didn't base at 188. I think we either have a base forming right here at 180, or we could dip a little bit lower for the 179 to fill that gap, and then try to bounce off the higher 170s. So either off 180 or the high 170s, we try to bounce, start pushing back up for 188. So I think that there's going to be a little bit of a dip, then possibly a bounce. I think that's the most likely possibility. For Amazon, Amazon has a nice accumulation structure that's kind of forming right over here. If we break past 178, we're going to be looking for a push for 182.5 and eventually higher levels. If we end up losing 174, we dip back down, but this is favoring upside a lot more for that 180 plus area or higher. So it looks more bullish to me. For Meta is kind of like forming a double top like structure. If we were to, let me just double check this. If we end up losing the support over here around this 517 area, we're going to be dipping back down towards 511. If we're bullish, you want to see it break past 524 to push up for 530, then 537. So I think that this could be an inverse head and shoulders that could be forming. It's possible we try to get a rebound, but that depends on if we can try to hold this support because it's kind of consolidating. It's been like that for the last couple of days. So I'd have to watch if we can try to break above 524 for confirmation. There is potential in this. I do see potential for it to try to rebound for the 530s, but we'll just have to wait and see. Microsoft looks pretty good in my opinion, trying to get a nice accumulation, nice rebound. I anticipate it's going to be pushing for about 420 very soon. As long as we don't lose 415, if we don't close below that, as long as we close above 415, I favor the 420 plus area. For Google, we look pretty good on the 4-hour time frame. We are favoring a push for 166, if not 168. I think the imbalance that's to the left is going to try to fill very soon, so I do favor a push coming. So I think we're going to be trying to push for that 166 area. For GameStop, by the way, we look more bullish on GME. We've got a nice double bottom. I think that as long as we hold above 23, we're going to be looking for a pump for 25. AMC looks decent. We have a nice accumulation right here. It looks like it might dip a little bit before it tries to bounce, but I think that it depends on if this dip causes a higher low or not. So if AMC were to hypothetically, let me just show you this real quick. If we establish a higher low right over here, I think that there's going to be potential in this. So if this is our low, we come up like this, establish a higher low, then we could start pushing back up like this. If we lose the low, then that would be a bearish sign. So watch and see where we end up basing at. If we establish a higher low compared to this, I'll be looking for a rebound as the PPO is looking pretty good. For a few more like DJT, this looks a little bit more bearish. It's continuing to fall, but I think there might be a divergence trying to form. Let me just double check. Yeah, I think it's forming a divergence, so that could lead to a reversal soon, but there's no confirmation yet. So I think this could be dipping closer to 19, and we'll see if it bounces off that or not. The VIX is rejecting. We have a double top on the VIX. To me, this looks a little bit more bearish, and generally that does tend to lead to more downside for the lower 14s. Also, this kind of looks like a head and shoulders. So, this looks bearish to me. It looks like the VIX is going to dip lower because the market has more upside potential causing that to happen. The 10-year treasury yield is still kind of stuck. We'll have to see what happens with FOMC in a couple of weeks, but I'm not really expecting this to affect the market as much. And then the dollar is trying to rebound, but I do see an issue with the dollar. There was a possible inverse head and shoulders here, but it might dip a little bit first before it tries to like play out. So I think the dollar might retrace to about 101.4. Maybe we bounce off that to form the inverse head and shoulders. We'll see about that. There could be a left shoulder forming here. So I'm not sure if the inverse head and shoulders is about to form if it already formed, but whether this plays out or not depends on factors. But like as you guys can see, this is resembling a left shoulder. And then we could be forming like a right shoulder. I'm not sure if the right shoulder is in or not, but if this dips like this could be because the market's going to get one more push higher before the market's just to dip. So we'll see. We'll see how things end up going. But for now, I do think it's going to dip a little bit and the market's going to push higher temporarily. And we'll see where this ends up bouncing at. So I'll be watching it very carefully. So that being said, guys, I'm not saying the market's going to be bullish forever for all of September or anything like that, because remember in July, we were bullish for the first 2 weeks before getting a sell-off. So it is still possible for the cyclicals to play out, but I just want to say that right now, at the time I'm recording this, there's no sign of that sell-off. And when we actually look bullish to start off September, I think we're going to start off on a strong note, and we'll see if the move lasts. But for now, the charts remain bullish, and we just have to hold that view just moving forward. So that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day. I will see you guys very soon. So enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Enjoy the holiday. I'll see you guys soon tomorrow before the market opens. Until then, thank you for listening. Enjoy the weekend and peace out.